Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Monday, September 6th, 2025. Here in the United States, our government is officially in its sixth day of being shut down, with only essential workers avoiding furloughs. The biggest point of contention that is motivating this shutdown seems to be some loopholes in Medicare funding that the Democrats want to have remain in place, which would allow them to bill Medicare for emergency services to illegal immigrants here in the United States. The Republican side of the table says we can't afford that, close those loopholes. The Democrat side of the table says we don't want to close the loopholes because if our states and cities had to pay for the services we want to give them, our state would quickly turn blue. We want the money coming from the feds, but we don't want to use it in the way you want us to use it. Now, to me, that's what it seems to be in a nutshell. So, there's also some chatter that's interesting on the alt media front that this shutdown is actually having a dual purpose, that there is some cleanup that's underway. Now, the scope and nature of that cleanup, I don't know. I want to ask the cards about that and just get some insights about the government shutdown, or as I'm calling it, the Sombrero Standoff of 2025, and see what the tarot wants us to know. If you haven't noticed, because you don't do social media much, there are thousands of memes out there showing notable Democratic figures wearing sombreros, and it is because of this loophole um, standoff that is going on. Because so the Republicans are rolling with it when they show up with a sombrero on their head. They seem to be laughing it off. The Democrats, not so much. But it's always good to have a sense of humor when you're in the political arena or observing it. So that's why I chose a cat wearing a sombrero for my thumbnail, and that's where we're going with this, with kind of a lighthearted approach, um, because I don't want to get too give too much energy to politics and political situations. But I do want to ask the universe about this, and I hope you'll stay with me and join me while I do. I want to ask if there is some truth or accuracy in the hypothesis that this government shutdown is actually serving a dual purpose, that there's some cleanup or something of that nature going on, plus additional insights, information, and maybe, especially towards the outcome of this shutdown. That's going on, the sombrero standoff. I'm going to switch the camera, work with the cards, and we'll find out what the universe wants us to know. There is a yes or no element to this question. As I said, we would like to know if there's truth to the alt media chatter that the shutdown is actually serving more than one purpose, including something in the nature of helping our world go from dark to light, plus insights, information, and possible outcome of the shutdown in general. Our first card is the Page of Swords. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune showing up, the Fool, Ace of Wands. We have our hard yes that this shutdown is actually serving more than one purpose. We have for the near future the Five of Pentacles, the Emperor, and the Eight of Wands. Okay, now out of the first seven cards, and I will pull more just to see what the universe wants us to know, we have a total of three of the seven cards, which is statistically out of proportion, that are major arcana. So it's an important topic, and there's information that the tarot was kind of anxious to have us glean. And let's do that gleaning right now. Okay, the situation's being indicated with the Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords is a card that talks about truth. And so, yeah, the what I'm getting here is a nod that I have conveyed the situation with truth and accuracy so far, as well as the fact that, again, that this is a matter of that involves some diplomacy on the part of those who are working to either change, adjust, or pass some policy and provisions for our government to reopen in full. Now, the Wheel of Fortune, interesting always when it shows up in a political read because it never stands still. It indicates how events are always, something's always happening. And in the political arena, since our world is going from dark to light, it tells us that this situation involves bringing our world a little bit farther, even if it's incrementally from darkness to light. So the shutdown is serving a purpose. We've got that information right here with the Ace of Wands, telling us that it actually there's even a potential for some new beginnings as a result of this. The reason past the Fool just talks about, I think, probably talking about the start of the shutdown, that we are heading forth into a new path, and there are people that, again, that are being reduction enforced and things like that. So there is some change that's happening in our world. I don't know that we're going to see major public developments. So I'm not saying that I'm getting information that we've got something like the big disclosures coming on or televised legal proceedings, things like that. But it is the start of something that is going to take us to a better place. So I think it's a stand your ground type of time for us. Let's look at the near future. We got the Five of Pentacles, and this talks about there are people that are willing to undergo some temporary discomfort for a cause they believe in. And that belief is in the objectives of the White Hats. Again, with a focus on bringing our world from dark to light, not just the United States, but our world. And as always, my hope is that the White Hats, those that I deem to be White Hats, would also be willing to work themselves out of a job and not just get seduced into giving us a better, cleaner type of behemoth government and oversight and a world of watchers and lack of privacy, that they would be willing to clean it up and step back out of the way. There's a lot of events that are going to be happening to that end, to the cleanup, to closing those loopholes, to requiring states and cities to shoulder the burdens of their policies as they should, and then letting the citizens of those states, municipalities, and cities decide how they like it. And let's see what else we have going on here. We've got the Three of Pentacles. We've got the Eight of Swords. The Nine of Cups, which is nice for a near future kind of outlook type of thing, and the Five of Cups. Okay. I have a feeling when this government shutdown concludes, those loopholes that we're going to allow services to illegal immigrants to be closed. I think it's going to happen. They're going to be unhappy about it. But most of us, because it's going to reduce the tax bite, the tax burden on the taxpayer, are going to be pretty happy about it. The process that's going on now was well thought out, well planned. It's got a good firm foundation. And even though we think we're in a holding pattern right here with the Seven of Swords, just talking about right now, you kind of feel like you're just marking time. It is to an end of having some outcomes happen. So again, that nod that there's stuff going on in the background that's not being chatted about in the mainstream, even though it might be being discussed to some extent in the alt media, is going on. So it's serving a purpose. And this is kind of it used to be my 46 card, the card that indicated Biden or his. I think it would be those that would still solidly prefer to have the auto pen president back in place. They're going to be sad at this outcome. So it's not going to work out in favor of the Democrats at all. They don't have a majority of support from the citizenry, the taxpayers, etc. And as long as we can keep the Republican side of the aisle from getting their palms greased too much and not doing what's right, I think it's going to work out okay. Let's recap. Here in the United States, the government shutdown is in its sixth day, with only essential workers avoiding furloughs. The universe was asked, we use the tarot to ask what's going on with this, because there's some alt media chatter that says, there's not just a shutdown going on, there's a cleanup going on in process too. We asked if that chatter had accuracy or truth to it. We got a very hard yes with that. So on top of the fact that right now the US government seems to be in shutdown mode, And the sticking point seems to be the loopholes in Medicare funding that allow sanctuary cities and states to pass on the costs of being sanctuary city and states to federal tax programs. And that means every taxpayer, not just the ones for the states that are red and have chosen to be sanctuary cities or states. The Wheel of Fortune's in play here. And the Wheel of Fortune in political means that things are going to go from dark to light, getting better. That doesn't go backwards, okay? And we're just in a period of time, an epoch of time, where going from dark to light is what is happening with our world and in the political structure. The outcome seems to be we're going to be most taxpayers are going to be glad that there's not as big a tax bite and responsibility passed on to us as is being advocated for by the liberal side of the aisle, and the liberals aren't going to be too happy with this outcome. It's not going to go the way they wanted. So they can continue the standoff as long as they have to or need to, but the outcome is going to be those loopholes. Looks like they will close, and funding for healthcare for illegal immigrants is going to have to be shouldered by the cities, states, and municipalities that choose to provide those, not every taxpayer in the United States. That's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you're willing to receive it, I give you love, light, and everything bright. Until next time.